All right, sports fans, how's everybody out there doing? William Martin coming at you one more time here on YouTube with another edition of the 300 Pounds of Sports Knowledge Podcast. Now, Colorado head football coach Deion Sanders recently attempted to schedule a spring scrimmage for his Buffaloes, and of course, those attempts were also thwarted by the NCAA. But could Coach Prime's thought process soon become a reality in college football? Some programs in the power conferences have begun to cancel their spring games in an effort to prevent poaching by other schools due to the lack of control and the out of control transfer portal. And could a spring game or a spring scrimmage versus another school become an alternative? Got to wait and see. Now, Syracuse's Fran Brown and Oklahoma State's Mike Gundy appear to be on board with Coach Prime's idea, but will it catch on? We've already seen some spring games in college football, that will easily draw 40 to 50,000 fans. And I remember the first spring game when Nick Saban took over at Alabama, they basically had a full house at Bryant Denny in that one. Okay. And in this era in college athletics, no school is going to turn down an opportunity to make a buck. And I'll say this idea to me is not going away. And I do believe sooner rather than later, I do believe spring scrimmages with one school against another one are going to be a part of college football's fabric. So, in my opinion, why did the NCAA turn down Deion's idea of a spring scrimmage for his team against Syracuse when, they've clearly turned a blind eye to so much else in regards to the current state of collegiate athletics? I think enough people aren't talking about it yet. But I think if this subject, picks up some steam, I think sooner rather than later, it will be a reality. I mean, you look at how pro days for these schools, especially the bigger schools, have taken over. They're getting more media coverage. All right. We just saw Colorado's pro day and the type of attention that it got. For an example, you look at the NFL draft and the type, or not the NFL draft, excuse me, the NFL combine and the type of attention that it's getting. The bottom line is people want eyes on football as much as possible. And I guarantee you, we already have networks, big networks that televise some of these spring games to some of these bigger programs. I guarantee you, if they see it and they see that spring scrimmages are a success, they will get behind that as well. All right. At the end of the day, Dion understands that football is entertainment. Okay. And I mean, you think about it, prime time, he marketed himself during his pro career, both in baseball and football. And at the end of the day, the college football level, the collegiate level, period, is no different than it is in the pro level, especially when it comes to football. Why? Because college football is a cash cow. And when you think about collegiate athletics, a lot of these college towns are ruled by their football and basketball programs. And I guarantee you, for those fans out there, they show up to the spring games. They want to see how their team does in the scrimmage. But then on top of that, it's still like a little taste of what they're waiting to late August, early September to see. How about change the narrative and how about have it where you're really going to get a taste of what you could see in the fall if your school is going up against the starters from another school. So at the end of the day, should the NCAA allow colleges to have spring scrimmages against other schools as opposed to the traditional spring game? I totally think so, and I totally think at some point it will happen because there's money on the table. Okay. And I think once more people realize that and they realize that there's a buck to be had, and of course, we know the colleges are in the business of making money, especially in the collegiate athletics. Nobody, and I repeat, nobody is going to turn it down. I've said this before and I'll say it again. When it comes to collegiate athletics, nobody is in charge. I said this for college football, I've said it for college basketball. We need a commissioner, a transfer portal. And I'm not just talking about the transfer portal for players, the transfer portal for coaches as well is out of control. The NILs, you name it, there's nobody governing things. And the NCAA, unfortunately, just picks their spots when they decide to govern. And you really can't do that. There needs to be more semblance of order. And I think this is a subject right here that is going to gain traction. Maybe not today, maybe not tomorrow, but possibly by the end of this decade. I truly do believe we're going to see spring scrimmages between schools. You look at the NFL level, okay? We, lost one preseason game, or at least another preseason game, because once upon a time, the preseason was six games long, and there was a 14 game regular season. Now you have 17 regular season games. You have three preseason games, and of course, the owners in the National Football League are pushing for an 18th regular season game in the NFL. With that said, with the loss of these preseason games, we're seeing more teams around the NFL, go the joint scrimmage route. And I think that is something that could be coming to college football sooner rather than later. People want to see football. We've got the USL and USFL and the spring training camps begin in the summer. And then, of course, late summer is the start of college football in the NFL, which goes all the way to January. We've seen the extended college football playoff and how far that goes. The bottom line is, at the end of the day, for a lot of people, you simply can't get enough football. And I guarantee you, like this, you start having spring scrimmages between two schools, especially two schools from a power conference, two schools that, there's a possibility of them getting to the postseason and college football playoff and having big campaigns, I guarantee you, people will line up to see it. It's just the nature of the game. And like I said, sports is entertainment. But folks, that is going to wrap it up. And as always, I want to take this time out to thank each and every one of you for tuning into the 300 Pounds of Sports Knowledge podcast here on YouTube. And I want to take this time out to thank all of you fine folks out there for tuning in. And if you haven't already, please feel free to like and subscribe to this channel. Also, if you're on the X, formerly known as Twitter, please feel free to follow me at 300 Pounds of Sports. And like I always say, if you follow me, it will be my pleasure to follow you right back. There's also the sports discussion group on Facebook at the Sports Depot 365, and you can check it out. Drop a line and be a part of one of the better sports debating sites going on social media. So, once again, fine folks, my name is William Martin, and I'm signing off. And I'm saying take care and have yourselves a wonderful day.